Hello and welcome to Thursday's Mindtrust Mastery in association with Noel Goldman. For the next 22 weeks, we're going to be focused on the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. We're going to go through today. Really, it's just an introductory session. We're going to talk about what the expectations are, about what the structure will be, some of the benefits of leaning into this. And of course, we're going to record them all so that we can look back on them later and potentially have them as a mini series in Noble Goldman. With that being said, we're going to talk to Michael, then Roger, then Wolfgang when we go through the mastermind principles, followed by myself. And we're going to start with you, Michael. You are muted at the moment. So if you want to go ahead.
It is said that when two minds come together, a third, more powerful mind is created.
Mindtrust principles. The purpose of this Mindtrust is to go deeper than we've ever gone before and be fully seen and acknowledged as the powerful divine beings that we truly are.
We co-create via the unified field through each of us coming together in a spirit of harmony.
Excellent. We believe the core values of integrity, respect, connection, growth, and contribution lay the foundation for trust.
We are collaborative. We listen without interrupting, lecturing, or judging, and through our collaboration, we increase the value and power of our contribution.
This I declare. I agree to respect all of you, focusing on building true relationships with no hidden agendas.
I'm honest and participate by giving thoughtful feedback.
I am focused. I also think it's important to have fun during meetings.
I'm ready to let go of beliefs that aren't serving me.
This I believe and embody. In this Mindtrust, as we mastermind together in a spirit of unity and non-judgment, we generate an infinite amount of sacred creative energy.
This process also gives us the opportunity for self-mastery, where the self-transcendent shift from the me to the we to the us occurs.
As congruence and engagement increases, the world's consciousness is then raised one meaningful and inspired relationship at a time.
And this is why we mastermind.
Excellent. Okay. So just by a show of hands, who has heard of the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? Okay. That's
Heard of.
Who has read the book? Or some portion of the book?
Maybe. I might have read it before. I can't remember.
Well, I'm going to just go through. I have some prepared notes here. So I'm going to jump into those for a moment. Okay, so essentially, I'm excited about this because this has life-changing potential. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Let's be honest, if we had all 7 habits, we would be more effective, one would assume. And oftentimes you will notice that when you look back on your day, you will likely identify areas where you could have been more effective, whether it's more effective communicator, more effective with time management, more effective with building relationships. And if you're not looking back and seeing room for improvement, it's not necessarily a good thing. So there's always going to be some room for improvement. I think that we should live in a state of gratitude that we've done as well as we have, but also be open to the fact that there's a bit more to do. In terms of the book itself, one of the quotes that it starts with is, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit." Okay, that's from Aristotle. Okay. I did a series on this from live videos a couple of years ago. It made a massive impact on me. And so this is the reason why I wanted to make a point of doing this series with you. I had the option of doing this over 7 weeks, and I don't believe that you would get the value in 7 weeks. There's just too much going on in the book. And you wouldn't have time to read it in 7 weeks either. The chapters are very detailed and potentially very heavy. You might read it, But even by reading it isn't necessarily going to draw out those specific points for you. I found it very heavy reading the first time. So then I decided, you know what, I'm going to go and listen to it on Audible or YouTube or something. I don't remember exactly. And then I went looking for things on PDFs online of people that have created workbooks for it. And I say, hey, let me just go back to that first chapter and pull out some of these worksheets, see if I can do some of the tasks. Maybe that will make it more simple for me to understand. So I went to ChatGPT this time and I got it to do the work. So that we've got a nice structure on this. And I've drawn it out so that we have now three sessions for each one of the habits. Okay, so today is not habit one. Today is just the introduction. I'm going to share with you what the value of all this is. Okay, so you can be here without having been prepared, because as you mentioned, you're not prepared. This is perfect. Being prepared or not is irrelevant for this particular call. Okay, that's the first thing. If you apply yourselves to this, you're going to develop greater personal leadership, interpersonal effectiveness, and lasting habits for success. Help you become more proactive and take control. And assuming you know what your values are and you have a vision for your life, this should help you to align your action with those visions. If you want to just mute yourself there, please, Michael. And also building stronger relationships and trust, lead with purpose, collaboration, and balance. Okay. Leadership, according to Covey, it helps build a foundation of something called character-based leadership, which means if we focus on building our character and the way that we interact with others, whether it's managing teams, relationships, or crises that happen, we'll be able to do that with clarity. And I think it will make us better leaders. So obviously, first of all, we have to lead ourselves, but then also lead other people as well. Now, like I said, 30 minutes. Let's see what else we got here. Core themes for each habit. Let's have a look. I'm going to pull this out here. And I'm going to share it in the chat. Okay. So as you can see there, these are the habits. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, there we go. So the first is to be proactive, take responsibility, and lead yourself. The second is begin with the end in mind. And the next one is put first things first. Next one is think win-win. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Synergize and sharpen the saw. So when you hear those 7, which one pops out for you most? Which one have you heard of before? Have you heard people mention before? Roger.
Well, the first one is be proactive, because I think we've covered that in both of those John Maxwell things that we've done. You know, I'm not going to give examples, but when I've gone back to I guess before and around the time that I first joined you, Lloyd, it was very hard to get out of my negative mindset, even though I was trying and realized where I had to go, but I couldn't rely on others to do it. I just had to start doing something in faith, I guess, stepping out in a direction and believing that I will grow and change into my affirmations, etc. Mind you, a lot of the other things struck me as well. But anyway, that's the first one is the most significant for me.
I'm muted. Sorry. I was talking there and nobody could hear me. Apologies. So Michael, or Wolfgang, you look like you're about to speak there. Can you hear me?
I hear you, yes. Can you repeat the categories, please?
They're in the chat.
In the chat.
Yeah, I put them in the chat. So be proactive, begin with the end in mind, put first things first, think win-win, seek first to understand and be understood, synergize and sharpen the saw. So which of those would stand out for you most? I mean, obviously you've been in business in the corporate world for quite some time. So this is something that's often taught in corporate environments. I think that's where they focused first in terms of leadership, training and things like that. And so which of those stands out for you most?
Beginning with the end in mind.
Yeah, the beautiful one. And and how did you apply that? When did you first come across that idea?
Well, it is certainly since Mumbai, to have the goal in mind and actually just look out in the world. Elon Musk has no idea how he comes to Mars. Jeff Bezos had no idea how to create Amazon. He had the vision, and the vision creates the path. I think it's for me, it's the most important thing, because when you are committed to a big goal, logic does not say how it works. The commitment creates, and actually people love to have somebody believing in the vision. I just had a conversation. The story about something what I'm creating creates people to buy in, because they also have dreams and wish other people to buy in. So for me, this is an ongoing, having a vision and to enroll people. This is enrollment for me.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, it's huge. Michael.
Um, yeah, begin with the end in mind. That's similar translate to the Sun Tao, warriors who prepare before the battle win,
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
when did you first hear that?
I suppose probably heard it years ago, but I really heard it when I was doing the NLP.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's very important. I mean, for me, quite a few of them stand out. I mean, first of all, the idea of sharpening your saw. When I first heard that, it was in what we used to call a daily sales breakdown. Or no, it was an impact. We used to call them impacts, right? So we would make a lot like a title and then a couple of bullet points and then a conclusion. We used to teach it on the board first thing in the morning on a whiteboard in the sales office that I ran. And the first time I saw it was someone talking about sharpen your saw, and saw standard for systems, attitude, and work ethic. And so that's what the impact was about. And we need to have the right systems. And in this case, we were doing door-to-door sales. So it was make sure you knock 100 doors every day. You do them 3 times at 3 different times in the day. You plan out your day according to when you want to have lunch. Motivate yourself in this sort of way. You have the right attitude for the day, and your work ethic is that you treat everybody the same way as you did the first person you spoke to in the day. So for me, that when I read that in the book, I understood a completely different understanding of what sharpening your saw is about, making long-term effectiveness in your by consistently improving and whatever skills you've learned to consistently apply them in order to become essentially more competent and not rest on your laurels and stuff. So for me, that was a big deal. Obviously, other ones stand out, like seek first to understand. I find often, particularly in interpersonal relationships, that that's very important for me, because if I just seek to be understood all the time, I'm just running my mouth, and the other person may not feel like I'm wanting to understand them, and therefore isn't necessarily open to the collaborative energy of resolution of whatever the issue is. And so that's really important. And if we want people to buy into our vision, we must first listen to them, establish whether or not they have any interest in what we're interested in, whether or not they align with our values or not, whether or not their vision is bigger than ours or fits into ours neatly in a way where they could lend their energy to the bigger vision and work collaboratively with us and that type of thing, right? So obviously we're going to deep dive into all these things as we go along anyway. But let's move on. So you know what the 7 of them are now. Obviously just by reading the titles isn't quite enough. So there's a couple of things I want to share with you about how Covey strengthens leadership. Okay. So I put it in the chat here also. And this is what we're going to be doing over the next little while. So we're going to focus on character. So yeah, you can learn skills and techniques on how to lead, but actually it's about who you are. And so in order to understand who you are, you must understand your paradigm. In order to understand your paradigm, you must be able to look at yourself objectively and think to yourself, what sort of beliefs do I have about the world in general and my place in the world? Do I have good reasons for these beliefs? Are these beliefs true or not? And then, do they serve me? Or were they things that I learned in order to navigate and overcome and survive experiences and environments that I was in the past? So do they serve me in the present? And more importantly, do they serve me in who I'm seeking to become? Oftentimes the answer is no. No, they don't. And so you think, oh, well, does that habit actually serve the greater good? Nope. Does that way of interacting with people serve my goals and my vision and where I want to go? No. Typically, the answer will be probably should install some new software here. Okay. So there's a couple of things that you can do to improve your character and who you are. I would recommend, it's obviously one of many, Joe Dispenza is a great way of describing. I'm going to share an audio, which I would recommend you listen to. I am currently listening to it for the 5th time this week. I wouldn't recommend just listening to it once, but once would be better than not listening to it at all. So I would suggest that you put it on for you, Roger, first break you get tomorrow, because obviously you're going to go straight to sleep after this. And for everybody else, put it on today if you can. When you do, if even while you're outside doing something else, if you have Spotify, you'll be able to listen to it there. And what you'll find is it talks about the way that your mind, up at this point, is now hardwired. So the body literally is hardwired. The mind is the thoughts, feelings, emotions, and chemistry of your thoughts up until now, and the environment you've been in and the way you've interacted with it, created software that has become hardwired into the brain. So what you need to do is to become more familiar with the future you than the you that wakes up every morning and reminds itself of who it is based on thoughts about the past. That makes sense? You wake up every morning and go, let me check my WhatsApp to see who messaged me every day, if they message me today. Right? Let me check my emails to make sure that I'm still the same person with the same email and all these things. Yeah. And all this sort of stuff. Okay. I think the same thoughts about the same people, have the same emotions, same blah, blah, blah every day. That's what most of us are doing when we wake up in the morning. But if instead we wake up and we listen to Joe Dispenza's no where, no thing, no one meditation, which I'll also share, we get more excited about the potential in the quantum field than in the past, who we think we are, and then we are no longer who we were. And so when we have skills and abilities on top of that, then we get some change. That makes sense? Wolfgang, you want to say something? Or you're just doing the finger thing? Okay, got it.
And I was just praying there because I got a notification that my mum was home, but she was passing by the house.
Ah, fantastic. That's great news. Okay. So the next thing is personal effectiveness basically comes down to personal discipline. Okay. Discipline is not a word most people enjoy hearing, thinking about, having in any way related to them because reminds them that their behavior actually has consequences, and most people don't want to hear that. So when each week I ask people, hey, did you do that thing that we discussed last week? And the answer is nearly always no. I know that it doesn't feel good for you saying no. I mean, it doesn't feel great for me hearing the word no either, but that's not my problem because it's your problem. So, and I don't need to be emotionally involved in your day-to-day activities because that's your job. I can wish you well, but I can't, it won't be, it's not going to affect me emotionally. Okay. But whatever happens in your day every week of every day of every week, really is going to matter a lot to you. And if you do it differently and start to take personal accountability and have some discipline around that, you will find that you start to feel different. As you feel different, you behave different. As you feel different, you think differently, and so on. It starts to become a loop going in the correct direction. Okay. Would you be more effective as a leader with better discipline? Does that make sense?
I missed a moment there. My internet's not great today.
It's all right. You can watch the recording. So, okay. So, and then relationship building. So, what do you think, Wolfgang, is the two, what are two things that are important for relationship building? Can you hear me?
I hear you, yes.
What do you think two things are very important for relationship building?
That's what I'm thinking into. I think the most important thing for me is time, that there is no pressure. This is what I sense. And primarily to give time to myself. It's of course about the other person as well, but I think it's really on both ends. And I used to be very fast, and I realize literally the slower I am, it
And
cannot be too slow.
what do you think the benefit of being slow is? What does it build? Does it build?
Being be, being slow, I don't mean being slow, it being giving time. What it builds trust. Just by not pushing somebody, it builds trust. When I push, it indicates I need something.
Yeah,
And when I don't need something, it's the opposite. It indicates I'm literally just interested in being with you.
yeah. And you
And
think,
this is interesting. This is not an experience people have and can describe, but this creates like, wow, you give me the most amazing thing, which is like your moment of time.
yeah. And if you want to create influence or to help build your team's success, can you do it without strong connection? And can you do it without trust?
Wow.
No. So we need to build strong connections based on trust. When trust goes down, fear goes up. When fear goes down, trust goes up. So if we develop an environment where we can reduce the amount of fear that they're feeling by being authentic, by not pushing, by not creating, you must do it in this time. We talked about this, Michael, this week. Okay. If we make people feel like I need something and you need to be the one to take the action need to have the thing, and maybe there's a benefit for you, but there's defo a benefit for me. And then see you later. You won't hear from me till there's a promotion where you need to buy some more stuff. Okay. This is typically how most people go about things, right? It's kind of funny when you think about it, unless it's you're on the receiving end of it. It's not that funny. Okay. Go ahead.
But so
Yeah,
those when fear goes down, no fear when fear
fear
goes
goes.
up and trust goes down. I feel that they're all the foundations for, like, if all those things happen, then we'd like lose stable connection with society, and that's how like an Armageddon scenario happens.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, if you think about it just from a government and citizen,
Yeah.
as the distrust in government goes up, okay, then more fear there is that the government are going to take advantage. Which of course they do. But now is not the time for politics, though. We're talking about leadership, and specifically in terms of self and team leadership. So while that may be true, we're going to keep away from that stuff because it's interesting but not relevant into this particular conversation. Okay. And then we need to have habits that align with our daily actions, that align with our long-term goals. Otherwise, we're not going to achieve anything. So we can have great habits for, let's say your long-term goal is to be a senior manager, and you have great habits for a supervisor. Are you going to end up being a manager, or are you going to be like, hey, I'm a good supervisor, but I want to learn exactly what it is that these managers are doing, and I want to ask for opportunities to do training so I learn how management is done really effectively, and then let me propose it to my management and say, hey, I'd like to move up, and here's the thing that I feel will help, and I want to move in that direction because my long-term goal is, and I know I need to build the daily habits to be able to get in a position to do that. I would love you to give me some insights on what you think are the best steps for me to take, progress beyond the role I'm in at the moment, for example. Right? And they may well tell you. Okay.
I actually did try that in work recently, but one of the managers told me that it would like take me a few years before I could move up to be a manager.
Okay. And what's wrong with that?
I don't know. It was just, well, now the woman's gone anyway, but work is complicated at the moment, so.
I appreciate that, but let me ask you a question. If you really want something, does it matter how long it takes?
No, but they have me on some training plan, which I don't know when it has an end or.
Okay. Was it so part of and this situation with you specifically, Michael, might not apply to the other two gents on the call, but I'll just give you 1 minute, right? So most people overestimate what they can do in a 6-month period. Right? So most people go, oh, I want to come in and I want to be promoted in 6 months. You won't even be finished your introductory period in 6 months. You don't even be a full-time real employee yet. You're still sort of on probation, right? So during your probation, the chance of getting promoted to management is 0. Okay. So the first thing you need to do is prove in the 3 to 6 months, whatever the contract is, that you are suitable for a job at all, the one you're working in, right? After that, you got to prove yourself for a period of time. Okay. Prove yourself with the little things, because if you take care of the little things, guess what? Big things take care of themselves. Okay? You communicate only to the people you should be communicating to about your desire to progress. Don't tell your fellow colleagues that you want to progress. It's none of their business. It's nothing to do with them. Any conversation you have with a manager, you don't have with a colleague. especially after speaking to a manager about something, they tell you something that you don't like. And then you tell everyone about the fact they told you something you don't like. All you're doing is muddying the water for yourself. Okay? What we want to be doing is having the right conversations with the right people to make sure that we are having the right conversation with the right person, getting the right outcome. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what I'm hoping everybody will get from this next 21 weeks. Okay? I'm going to share this with you guys anyway. And also share it with anyone on your team, Wolfgang, who wants to have these outcomes. They're welcome to join the call. Okay. So I'm going to run it for 21 weeks. Each week, as I mentioned, will be 1/3 of each of these.
I have an idea. Could you put all of that in our messenger so it's there? And then I refer to my team and say, please have a look at it.
Yeah, all your team are in there in that messenger, aren't they?
Yes, but it's about to explicitly invite them to have a look. They are all there, but it's about to invite them so they have a look at it.
Yeah.
That
And
would
look,
be great. So
we would all benefit from being more effective with our time. Like, for example,
absolutely, absolutely.
I took on a coaching client, okay, in the morning on a Thursday. He's a young man who I met when he was 14 years old. He went to a personal development conference, and the woman on stage said, "Oh, we have a young man here whose mother sent an email asking could he attend." And he stands up and he goes, "No, I wrote that." At 14 years old. He got a mention in the book that I wrote years ago. And I've been sort of mentoring him, I guess, over that time, you know. And then I asked him, he said, would you coach me? So I've taken on a client, right? And my intention there is it's 45-minute calls, thank you, Wolfgang, with 15 minutes of grace at the end. And if there's something extra that needs to be discussed or going through things that were to be done in the interim and make sure that everything is up to speed and all that. These calls here are designed to be 30 minutes of content with 15 minutes of discussion. Okay. Depends on what speed we move through them, but that's the way they're set up. So I'll be reviewing them and just obviously going to take some time to get down to the right amount of size, and it depends on how many people are on the call. I don't want to be talking the whole time either, but the more interaction we have, the longer the call will take for obvious reasons. Okay, but ultimately, if we can get better at navigating conflict and getting people to collaborate with one another, whether it's on our team or people we want to do business with, or people that were our colleagues in work or our supervisors or managers or principal in the school or whatever. For you, Roger, maybe developing a contract that's permanent or whatever the case may be, right? We're going to need to get better at managing our emotions and being clear on our priorities and getting good at time management, right? Because then we're just immediately more efficient. Okay, most of the time you can say, and my missus has just arrived home, she would probably think this is hilarious, is that we can say less and get more done. So it's my intention, just yeah. So on the basis of that, that's my intention. Okay, I want to be more effective also. So in doing this, we're going to have a very, very structured 21 weeks. My intention to record it and make it available at a later date so that it can be going in the vault or similar, and can be utilized by others as we go forward. Okay, so that's it. That's the call for today. Yeah, we're going to wrap it up. And that's it for all of us, by the way. So I've got one request. When you rock up on the call next week, I will give some instruction between now and next week. if you want to participate, I would recommend you lean in. There's two reasons for this. It will be recorded. Okay. If you want to be the one on a recording that goes up on Noble Goldman for 21 weeks and goes, oh, sorry, my dog ate my homework scenario, go right ahead. That's on you. And that's the way that you will be viewed into perpetuity. You probably not a wise idea. What I would suggest is that you put your best foot forward and can be aware of the fact that this is being recorded and this is going to become a mini course for people to go through. And it's also going to be something that you potentially could bring other people through as a facilitator of this little mini course. And so you want to put your best foot forward because it'll obviously give people an impression of you. And you want that to be a positive one. So that's what I would recommend. And so that's what we're going to do for the next 21 weeks. Okie dokie. So that being said, we can put on a funny face. You may already have one, or you could.
When you put it in a messenger, can you say this is a 21 weeks course? So the frame is aware that people are aware of the frame, and it starts next week. So then it's very clear to step in and what the frame is. Thank you. Amazing.
Hold on, wait. 1, 2, and a 3 of that. There we go. Excellent.
Wonderful.
All right, folks.
Have a wonderful week.
See you again
I
next
love you guys.
Yeah, guys, have a great week. Yeah, I
Thank
will.
you.